was to pull that out of his hat for a third, fourth round draft pick is just amazing. And it just shows you, because Andrew Luck was the Grim Reaper when it came to the Titans.
Oh, yeah.
He showed up here. They knew they were dead.
Oh, yes.
And it didn't matter. He'd be injured. He'd limp around. It didn't matter. He would find a way to beat them. And once he retired, took a little bit of the pressure off, got to admit.
Think about the one, anytime you get mad at John Robinson, the one thing I'll say, think about that 2019 offseason where they promoted Arthur Smith to offensive coordinator, they traded for Ryan Tannehill, and they drafted Jeffrey Simmons, A.J. Brown, Nate Davis, and Amani Hooker.
Yeah.
And that, let's think about that one. That is moving the chains, thanks to our friends at TriStar Moving with 5-star service. On the other side, 2 hours to kick off. We'll take a look at the Titans offense. What does Todd Downing need to do to dial up success against the Colts and their defense? We'll get to that next. It's the pregame show live from Rock Bottom Brewery, downtown Nashville on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Coming up next hour on NFL Pregame, Jared, Chris, and Mark go inside the playbook, inside the sportsbook, and get an update from the stadium with ESPN's Teron Davenport. It's NFL Pregame on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot. Great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Hooked in, it headed in! Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Yo, it's Teron Davenport here to tell you about my friends at Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and they do it all. New tires, balance, rotation, everything. Bill, a recent customer of theirs, loved the way they came to him and saved him time and money. So if you're like Bill, you like convenience, and you need some new tires, check out FreedomTireGuys.com. If you don't see the tires you like, give them a call, and they'll find them for you. Check them out today at FreedomTireGuys.com.
Lately, we've been getting a lot of calls and questions about acoustic wave therapy for the treatment of erectile dysfunction. This is a relatively new treatment for ED, but one we've been using for years. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you're looking at acoustic wave therapy or any option to help your ED, it's worth a visit to check us out. Our wave therapy protocols use acoustic wave technology, but often also combine it with other treatments that can give most of our patients far higher satisfaction rates. There is no surgery nor any type of invasive procedures required, and while most clinics you hear about only offer sound wave treatments, with our urologist and provider's guidance, you can likely have sex the day after your appointment and experience fewer letdowns. With another one of our ED treatments, you can last up to an hour and a half, and our expertise in treating these issues means you'll get the results you want. So make your appointment today. We'll show you why our acoustic wave program is the better way to do wave therapy. Call us today at 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments extra. Results vary.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation by calling or texting us at 615-737-1025.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne. Online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. What are the keys to victory on the offensive side of the ball for the two-tone blue? Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard go inside the playbook. Brought to you by E2 Roofing. This is the NFL pregame on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Time to go inside the playbook presented by E2 Roofing. Inside the playbook, E2 Roofing, trust roofers with integrity. E2 Roofing, a veteran-owned and operated local Nashville roofer. We are live at Rock Bottom Brewery downtown. I got to say something, though, as we're up here on the rooftop, fellas. Chris Sanders, Mark Howard. See a lot of Colts fans up here.
Yeah.
See some Titan fans up here, but I see a lot of Colts fans. Should be worried what the game what the composition of Nissan Stadium is going to look like today.
Well, Titans fans have no excuse if they didn't get excited over that win last week.
Absolutely.
I don't know what you can get excited over.
So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. But we're starting to see some more Titan fans roll in here, which I think is a good sign.
I see one.
But
we got a whole table of Titan fans over here. We got more Titan fans over here. And then we got an entire thing of Colts fans over there. So
make some noise. Make some noise, Indianapolis.
You don't want the Colts fans.
There are like 20 Colts fans here. I'm not worried that's going to be that's a prelude to them overrunning the stadium.
Oh my!
But it's just the way it is the way the secondary ticket market manifests itself these days. You're never going to get a stadium full of just your fans.
Especially in this town, where people see Titans on the schedule and they tell their buddies, let's go to Nashville.
Well, I remember the year the Titans, made their Super Bowl run. And the sound of Eddie George running for that touchdown and hearing Titans fans.
What, in Indianapolis?
Bill Polian hit the ceiling.
Bill Polian called Floyd
the
Monday after that game and asked who the inside man was in Indianapolis because he knew that they had to have something. And obviously I think Floyd got a great chuckle out of that one. Inside the offensive playbook, Todd Downing came under a lot of criticism after week one.
From who?
Everybody.
I thought, everybody except for me, I thought Todd Downing was fantastic last week against the Seahawks. I thought that the screen calls when he called them had the Seahawks off balance. I thought that, if you look at the passing game, and we'll get to A.J. Brown and his drops a little.
Right.
I mean, those were good throws by Tannehill and good plays by Julio Jones, but those were big gains that were open. He started utilizing Michael Pruitt in the passing game. I thought the offense looked exceptional. Indianapolis' defense, as of right now, and again, they've played Russell Wilson and Matthew Stafford, so they haven't been playing bums. But it is a middle-of-the-road defense right now. They've got great players, DeForest Buckner, Darius Leonard. They've got kind of an inexperienced secondary. This looks like an opportunity for the Titans offense and Todd Downing.
Well, Kenny Moore and Rock Ya-Sin do not strike fear in the hearts of receivers around the NFL, and those are the Colts corners. And A.J. Brown, first of all, needs to hang on to the dang ball.
Stop it.
Well, I mean, come on, he had 4 drops last week.
Yeah, but when's the last time we saw him drop that many balls? Man, stop that.
Last year against Indianapolis, he dropped a touchdown. Totally could have changed the game.
Okay. How many yards has he had?
4 drops.
Y'all kill me with that.
Inexcusable.
But y'all kill me with that. You don't think Jerry Rice dropped balls and still was
Jerry
one of the
Rice
best?
never dropped 4 balls in a game.
At the beginning of his career,
at
guaranteed.
the beginning. A.J. Brown's in his 3rd season.
Y'all kill me with that. Go ahead.
It's time. It's time not to do that. But the other part of this is, I thought Tannehill was an unsung hero last week with the way he threw the ball effectively downfield. Julio Jones over 100 yards. I think that opened things up a lot for Derrick Henry, and I think again the Titans can do that. Hopefully Lewan is back today. You hear that he is, and hopefully that'll be good. But the Titans should be able to run the ball, but also throw the ball downfield. Yeah. And 2 favorable matchups. Julio Jones against Kenny Moore, and A.J. Brown against Rock Ya-Sin, and we'll see if the Titans can make any hay there.
I mean, I agree with you 100%. I mean, their secondary is banged up, and it's kind of, they don't strike any fear in you. Because you look at last week when they went against the L.A. Rams, Cooper Kupp had a monstrous day, and I don't think he compares to the receivers that we have on our roster. You got
Bob Sanders is not walking through that door.
Not at all. But I think, too, with the whole game, looking at the Tennessee Titans last week, they had a balanced offense. They had the running game, they had the passing game, and they kept the Seattle Seahawks off balance. So I think they can do the same thing with the Indianapolis Colts, is run the ball, pass the ball, play action, and throw those quick screens to the wide receivers and let those guys make plays, because that's exactly what the L.A. Rams did with Cooper Kupp. Get the ball in his hands, let him make plays, and take shots downfield with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones.
And it sort of cracks me up because people tend to dwell sometimes too much on touchdowns and interceptions when it comes to a quarterback. And I thought last week, Tannehill was awesome. Didn't throw a touchdown pass, didn't have to, but threw for almost 400 yards.
The one thing that I'll say about Tannehill, he's got to stop fumbling inside his own 20.
100%.
I mean, and we could sit there and blame the offensive line, or we can blame, what's the quarterback supposed to do, and got to hang on to the ball, bud. And that is the one thing we talked about here. We know that Indianapolis is in a tough spot because of the injury to Wentz and how effective is Wentz going to be, and their defense right now is probably not what they want it to be, and all these things. But what the Titans cannot do on offense today is turn the football over. If you told me today that the Tennessee Titans don't turn it over today, I feel fairly confident they're going to win.
And also, I agree with you 100%. Don't turn the ball over. But if you look at what they did last week, they always stayed in front of the chains. Like instead of being 2nd and 16 or 3rd and 16, it was 3rd and 2. 2nd and 5. So now you have Todd Downing that can make plays as opposed to being handcuffed and just making a certain call. So, I agree with you 100%. They got to stay in front of the chains, but also not have turnovers in the red zone like you talked about.
Well, and last week, and Chris, you're right, when you play ahead of the chains like that, you're doing a lot more run blocking.
Yes.
And it's a lot easier for these backup offensive linemen to run block than to pass block, especially when, they don't have to face 3rd and long. So it was a lot easier without Lewan in there and even Roger Saffold for the Titans to not really skip a beat when they brought their reserves in to keep moving the football.
And then also I want to see how the Tennessee Titans offensive line is going to fare. Who's going to be in? I don't know if Lewan's going to be near Brewer or Nate Davis or Sombrilo. Can they block this front? I mean, this front is nasty. I mean, this is a nasty front. So it's all going to come down to who wins the line of scrimmage and who's going to control the line of scrimmage. And whatever team controls the line of scrimmage and imposes their will, that's the team that's going to be successful.
Does it kind of feel like the first Titans games, the first 2 have been completely decided by who's controlled the line of scrimmage?
Absolutely.
I thought that defensively the Titans controlled the line of scrimmage on Seattle, and I thought the offensive line did a good job last week. And we all know what happened in the Arizona game. Yeah. And I think, to your point, Chris, that's absolutely going to be the case today. The other question is what kind of dynamic, and that soft shell Tampa 2 that Matt Eberflus at Indianapolis likes to run, what does Derrick Henry in the passing game mean now, what we saw him do against the Seahawks?
I mean, I know he caught 6 balls last week, but I think for him to be important in the passing game this week is his pass blocking. I mean, that for him, I think that's going to be important because you better believe, they're not going to let Tannehill sit back there and just throw the ball. They're going to put some pressure on him. They're going to maybe send a linebacker or send a safety or do something, but to kind of get him off his spot. So I just think the important in the passing game for Derrick Henry today is his pass pro.
Well, and I think the other part of it is the Titans really don't have, a tight end that they can go to, a security blanket. Wentz or whoever is a quarterback for the Colts has a guy like Jack Doyle.
Oh, stop it.
A chain mover. Titans don't, Michael Pruitt is really the closest thing the Titans have to a pass-catching tight end right now.
The other element, too, Jack Doyle, former Titan, kind of. Chester Rogers, former Colt. And Chester Rogers has had some big catches so far through the first 2 weeks. So we'll keep an eye on him. Emerging kind of as a Tannehill favorite so far, in Chester Rogers. Julio Jones, big week last week against Seattle. Chris, what'd you take away from that?
I'm excited. I mean, just watching him run that first post route at the beginning of the season and in camp, I think he lost some of his speed. But watching him running that post route, he still has that second gear to go get the ball, and then the way and also I love the way he locates the ball, and also the way he catches the ball at the high point. A guy that can consistently make plays, a guy that can run the route, and he has that big body to make the tough catch. And if you look at the play that he made in the back of the end zone that they didn't call a touchdown, for him to go up and make that catch and use his feet, I still think he has a lot in his tank.
Yeah, makes those combat catches. The other thing I liked about his performance last week, it came on the heels when he got criticized. When people, around the league are going,
yeah, absolutely.
Julio might be ready for Shady Acres. Not so fast.
The other side, too, on the wide receiver thing about TD was on this week, and he said that with the Talking with TD podcast, he talked to Mike Wells, the Colts reporter at ESPN, who said that, I forget who it is, there's going to be a corner for the Colts today, that Mike Wells told TD AJ and Julio might get injured before the game fighting over who gets to go against that guy. And so whoever that is, Tannehill, go to him. Coming up, we'll take a look at the other side of the ball. Titans defense. Boy, do they look impressive compared to what we've seen recently out of the Titans defense against Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. Plus, how limited will Carson Wentz be today for the Indianapolis Colts? We'll take a look at that. Go on the other side of the ball, inside the playbook, presented by E2 Roofing. Live from Rock Bottom Brewery, downtown Nashville. It's the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Incredible win on the road for the Tennessee Titans.
Will the Titans send a statement to their arch rivals on Sunday?
Ball is loose and it's recovered in the end zone for a Colts touchdown.
Or will the Colts steal a victory in Nashville?
No, God, please, no.
Tune in all all day Monday for full reaction to Titans Colts. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and we got a big matchup coming up on Monday night between Philadelphia and Dallas, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win, and that means you can end the NFL week the right way by winning $150 on a $5 bet. Personally, give me the Cowboys in this game. Really like the way Prescott has been playing since coming back from injury, but you take it whatever way you want to take it. Offers like this are just one of the many reasons I love betting the NFL on FanDuel. It's the #1 rated sportsbook app in America, and they get you your money quickly in as little as 24 hours. So see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Just sign up with promo code ROB this week before Dallas takes on Philadelphia, and you can win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember, promo code ROB so they know that I sent you. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. A $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus of $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
With all the new people moving here recently, we thought it'd be a good idea to explain Genesis Diamonds. If you've lived here a while, you know all this, so bear with us. Genesis Diamonds is not an ordinary jewelry store. It was started decades ago by a major diamond wholesaler based in Tel Aviv. He was the diamond supplier for hundreds of upscale jewelry stores. Then he decided to start selling direct to the public at prices that undercut traditional jewelers in a big way. This no middleman approach caught on fast and disrupted the traditional jewelry business model forever. Today, Genesis Diamonds continues that extraordinary value promise. With the highest quality diamonds, the lowest prices, the strongest guarantees, exceptional service, and a mind-blowing selection of fine diamonds and exclusive designer jewelry. So if you've just moved here from New York or California or wherever, we invite you to discover the secret the locals are well aware of: Genesis Diamonds. Just another great reason you made the move to this extraordinary place we're proud to call home.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429, has a path to a dignified career. Are you a skilled electrician or lineman? Tired of dead-end, low-paying jobs? Local 429 is accepting applications for highly skilled electricians and linemen and is providing the best training in Middle Tennessee. They are the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 429. Call them at 615-889-4429 or go online to ibew429.org. IBEW Local 429, the best training and training the best.
Hey Nashville, Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here, inviting you to tune in on ESPN 94.9 every Monday at 6 p.m. for the Commodore Hour, providing you with exclusive insights on Vanderbilt athletics.
What are the keys to victory on the defensive side of the ball for the two-tone blue? Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard go inside the playbook. Brought to you by E2 Roofing. This is the NFL pregame on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chris Sanders, you're the defensive coordinator today. You're Shane Bowen. You know, he was at Ohio State. You were at Ohio State.
The Ohio State, sir.
You know, he had a beard. You never really had a beard. But anywho, so Carson Wentz, we know, is if he plays today, and Ian Rappaport said he's going to give it a go. Most likely to play today for Indianapolis, though severely injured on that right ankle, his plant ankle. What's your game plan defensively with the Colts?
You know, I'm not concerned about our front. I think our front is going to get after Wentz, but the only thing that I'm concerned about is our secondary. The reason why I'm saying I'm concerned about them is because if you look at last week, you always see a consistent blown coverage. I mean, you can't have a blown coverage against you just can't do that against some great receivers. And just to kind of give you an illustration, Lockett was running around. They were playing, we call it brackets. You have McDougal that was supposed to be on top, and then you have Molden that's supposed to be at the bottom. They just let him go. So you can't do that against this Indianapolis Colts team. So I know we're going to get after Wentz. We just got to be sound in the secondary. If we be sound in the secondary, we get after Wentz, make him get off his spot, I think we can definitely be successful playing the Indianapolis Colts.
I think the Titans, especially their interior defensive line, if they dominate this week like they did last week and limit the Colts running game, you know, you start forcing Wentz in the second and third and long, I think you got him.
Yeah, and then also you alluded on it earlier, is who's going to cover Doyle. I mean, Doyle is a Titans killer. I mean, he's a Titans killer. So what are we going to do? Are we going to bracket him? Are we going to go man-to-man? Are we going to put Byard on him? What are we going to do to stop him? Because when it's 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8, you don't think Wentz is looking for Doyle? So we got to figure out a way to stop him. And I know we're going to get to him, but who's going to stop Doyle in that receiving core?
So I'm going to throw out an idea. One of you guys tell me if you like it, hate it, whatever. I think I'm putting 8 in the box on Jonathan Taylor early in the game, and I'm going to have the old philosophy, Chris, that the Titans had when you played, which was we're just going to hit the running back on the way to the quarterback. And I'm going to basically go man for man until these wide receivers, Pittman Jr. and Zach Pascal, prove that they can beat Jackrabbit Jenkins and Christian Fulton. I'm going to play Chris Jackson today a lot in the safety position. With Dane Cruikshank played well last week against Seattle. Again, if I'm going to load up the box, I'm going to put Jackson in the game. I'm putting him on Jack Doyle, and I'm having Byard in the box and run support at least early on. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good, but what's going to happen on the perimeter with Pittman? I mean, I know Christian Fulton is playing pretty good.
See, I'm feeling great about Fulton right now.
Yeah, but Fulton's playing pretty good, but it's just Pittman, the last couple of games he's played, he's making a tough catch and he consistently gets open. So I'm not saying that Christian Fulton can't cover him. I'm just thinking that the big body that Pittman is, I think he's going to make the tough catch. So I agree with you 100%. I think if they do that in the secondary, we just got to make sure we cover on the perimeter. That's going to be the key.
Well, so you're leaving Elijah Molden on the bench?
Now he hasn't impressed me.
I think I would, yeah.
He hasn't. He's been getting. That's who gave up the big touchdown last week.
Well, that was more miscommunication than it was lack of speed.
Right, but I agree with you 100%. But when he caught the ball,
he got beat by Christian Kirk in the first game, and I just don't know if Elijah Molden's ready to go. You know, as far as the NFL is concerned. I mean, I think he's got talent. I think he's going to be a good player on this team. I just don't know if he's ready to go. And that brings up the point, though. If I'm playing Chris Jackson at safety, then Molden does have to play whenever I go nickel situation. You get a 3rd and 11, Indy's going to have more than 2 wide receivers on the field.
Yeah.
And when that happens, perhaps you then do have to put Molden on the field.
Yeah, but then you got to make sure that these guys can cover. I mean, you forgot about another guy. Well, you said Pascal, and then also you have Paris Campbell from the Ohio State University.
That guy has never done anything in the NFL, and every time we do a pregame show for the Colts, you start talking about Paris Campbell. Every time.
Didn't he score on us last time?
I don't think he did.
Yes, he did. He scored one in the back of the end zone.
When?
When they played him here. He scored in the back of the end zone. He like a crossing route against, I forgot who it was, but he scored a crossing route and he caught it in the back of the end zone. So, we just got to make sure we cover. But, then on the flip side, too, if our defensive line, if our front gets to Wentz, I think we'll be successful. But we just got to make sure we cover on the perimeter.
I'm not as scared of Paris Campbell as Chris is.
Or the Texans.
He's not a great route runner. He's got some speed, but I just think I'm more concerned about Hines coming out of the backfield and Jack Doyle. Those are the guys that are going to move the chains. Those are the guys I think that are going to be bigger red zone threats, and I think those are the keys to the game.
Chris, Paris Campbell didn't play after week 2 last year.
Oh, he did? I thought he caught a touchdown against – I just make it sound good. Come on.
Paris Campbell
– Wait a minute. He caught a touchdown against us before in the back of the end zone.
In 2019.
There you go. Thank
September
you.
15th, 2019, Paris Campbell, 1 target, 1 catch, 12 yards, 1 touchdown.
Thank you. I was right.
Shining moment.
So there you go. From The Ohio State University, Chris Sanders and Paris Campbell. What do we think about the pass rush? Because pass rush has been a problem for the Titans for about a decade. Last week they got after Russell Wilson. And we talked about this. Pro Football Focus ranked Bud Dupree so far as having the least amount of impact of any free agent pass rusher signed this season. And I haven't watched all the other games, so I can't tell you. But I feel Bud Dupree out there, and I feel Danico Autry out there. And I do think this is a big game for Autry playing against his former team. But the thing that we talked about all offseason, Mark, was the idea of how much Autry and Dupree would help Simmons and Landry. And I think that much is evident. And I think Ola Adeni has been a nice addition as a rotational pass rusher so far. A guy they thought was a special teams ace has been a nice addition so far, kind of coming off the edge as well.
Well, I'll go back again to Autry and Simmons. And I think Jeffrey Simmons is going to have a huge year. He got that sack. I don't know. Did he get credit for 1 or 1.5?
1.5.
So he shared one with Autry. I just love the way he's playing. And when the Titans have an effective defensive tackle I think Josh Evans. I think Albert Hainsworth. You think of those guys dominating inside and just how they lift the rest of that defense.
I want to kind of piggyback off of what you said about Dupree. I think sometimes the misconception is if he doesn't have a lot of sacks, then he's not doing his job. But if he pressures the quarterback, it's kind of the same.
Or eat up blockers.
So he's making those other guys better. I mean, I think Autry and Simmons are playing at a high level right now. I mean, if you look at Autry, he's taking a lot of those double teams. Simmons is, beating man-to-man coverage. So, if they keep pressuring the quarterback like they did in the second half of the Seattle game, man, I'm going to tell you something. Sky's the limit for this Tennessee Titans defense.
What do you think so far of Fulton? I know we brought him up briefly. I thought Fulton was fantastic against DK Metcalf last week, and the kind of fantastic that has really been missed the last couple of years around here.
He's just playing with confidence. I mean, if you look at the interviews that his players are talking about, they say he's playing more confident, he's playing fast, and he's letting the game come to him. And when you have that as a defensive back, those three elements, then you can be successful. Because if you look at, in the game when they talked about how'd you feel covering DK Metcalf, this is one thing he said. He said, I just went out there and did my job. I mean, that's a confident guy to say, I understand that DK Metcalf is a phenomenal player, a phenomenal receiver, but guess what? I'm out here to shut you down, and that's exactly what it did to DK Metcalf.
Well, he's on time. I mean, this is his second year. He's ready for this, and the Titans seem ready to, to put him in there. Jackrabbit Jenkins, I have my misgivings about him. Great name, but, it's almost like jumbo shrimp, sort of an oxymoron. Because Jackrabbit Jenkins hasn't looked he's looked more like Tortoise Jenkins than he has Jackrabbit.
Yeah, I mean, just watch what he did against the Arizona Cardinals. When on the first play of the game, he gets beat at the line of scrimmage, and he's like stumbling and falling. So,
and he fell against Seattle too.
Against Seattle. So I just think that the reason why I think he's fallen or fell a couple of times is because I think he's trying to guess. He's trying to guess on what the guys he's breaking down. Is he sinking his hips, so I'm going to break on that? And I think the defensive coordinator and the receivers are reading that to say if I give him a little move inside or outside, he's going to bite on it because there's no reason why you should fall like 3 and 4 times a game. It just doesn't make any sense.
What do we make of the Wentz injury and how that will affect him today, Mark?
Which injury?
The Wentz.
I don't know. I'm going to have to see him when he's out there. I mean, 2 sprained ankles.
And a high ankle sprain on the plant leg, the right leg.
I think he's going to be limited. I don't think you're going to see him try to extend plays. I think he's going to be, pretty much, restricted to the pocket and then throwing, making quick throws to get the rush off of him. I just don't see, Carson Wentz running around and wreaking havoc.
Yeah, and I think what they're going to do, Frank Wright is going to do is maybe put him a lot in the shotgun. So he can kind of see the defense and look and kind of see what the Tennessee Titans are doing, put him in shotgun so he doesn't have to take a 3 or 5 step drop. So you're going to see a lot. You're going to see a lot of him being in shotgun. So I think that's what they're going to do.
Does this change how the Titans play?
Nah.
Does it not change your game plan at all?
Nah, you're coming after him. I mean, that front has to come after him and still get after him. But the thing that's going to happen, even if the front gets after him, the corners are going to have to cover. Even if it's running slants or running fades, just quick passes, they got to make sure they cover in the secondary.
Well, I don't know if you change your game plan, but you might tweak it a little bit when you see, when you check out his mobility, limited or otherwise. It's going to change the way you try to get to him.
Coming up next, we'll see who's in and who's out for the Titans this week, plus Mike Rabel's keys to the victory for the Titans taking on the Indianapolis Colts. We'll do all that coming up next. Again, our Inside the Playbook presented by E2 Roofing. E2 Roofing, trust the local roofers with integrity. E2 Roofing, a veteran-owned and operated local Nashville roofer. Jared, Chris, Mark, we're live from Rock Bottom Brewery downtown. It's the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
October 14th.
Toward the net, the back end of the score! Predators break out in front!
The Nashville Predators' regular season begins when they host the Seattle Kraken.
And the Predators win it overtime!
And your only home for every moment of the action is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
It's football season, and Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. If your AC or heater is old and inefficient, you can replace it with up to 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. That's right, 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. One of the many ways you can save at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer 6 months no interest financing available on repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, offering premium service without the premium price. Visit springhillac.com or call them at 615-778-8855. Join us in partnering with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and families. Light the Night will take place November 5th. For more details, visit lightthenight.org/events/Nashville.
Hey, Darren McFarland here. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. DraftKings is kicking off another week of action by giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Listen up. All you have to do is just bet $1 on any football game this week and receive $150 in free bets instantly, no matter what. And this football season, all customers can swing big with the DraftKings same-game parlays. Same-game parlays allow you to combine multiple bets for a bigger payout. This week, place a same-game parlay on any NFL game, and you will be credited up to $25 if your bet loses. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code 1025GAME to receive $150 in free bets instantly when you place a $1 bet on any football game. That code again, 1025GAME. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, you must be 21 years of age or older, Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Hi, golfing friends. We're here to tell you about the 54-year anniversary membership special at Oak Hills Golf Course in Greenbrier. For only $89 a year with a $10 per year admin fee, you can get a 2-year anniversary membership at Oak Hills and enjoy unlimited golf from Monday through Sunday. Call Oak Hills Golf Course today to respond to this special offer before it's over. To get your $89 membership today, go to oakhillsgolfcoursetn.com or call 615-643-4505.
Darren McFarland.
When they don't score first, they have troubles getting a W.
Aaron Gonick and Chase, weekdays 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game.
Welcome back to the pregame show live from Rock Bottom Brewery downtown. Again, the spot. If you're looking for where you're going to go before the game on your way to Nissan Stadium, you got to come on out to Rock Bottom Brewery. We are hanging out here on the 4th floor rooftop, downtown Nashville. Mark Howard will be back with us in just a second. Chris Sanders is here with us. It is time now, though, to take a look at our inactives into today's game. And the inactive list and Mike Rabel's keys to the game are presented by Hillside Medical Clinic every single week. And for the Titans, kind of interesting. You know, as we wait for the official inactives, Josh Reynolds out today as a healthy scratch for the Titans. I just saw that Ben Arthur tweeted that out. And the other inactives for the Titans, Caleb Farley with a shoulder, Anthony Ferkser with a knee, Derek Roberson with a knee, Kari Blasingame, the fullback, a healthy scratch this week, and Naquan Jones, the defensive lineman, out for the Titans today. Chris Sanders, what do we make about that?
Josh
Specifically, well, we'll get to Reynolds in a second.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by Kari Blasingame. I mean, I think he's been a decent fullback since they brought him in here as a lead blocker for Derrick Henry. And so the Titans going to go with 3 tight ends with Ferkser out. Tommy Hudson has been added to the active roster. So it'll be him, Swaim, and Michael Pruitt, but no Kari Blasingame for the Titans.
I just think that I don't think that it's not that he can't play. I just think that the formations that they're going to use. I mean, you know, if you look at a couple of weeks ago, they went 21 personnel. You know, that's 2 backs, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers. They may go like a 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, and 2 wide receivers. So I don't think it has to do with him personally. I just think that the personnel that they're going to use, because I think what they're going to do, they're going to go 2 tight ends, and they're going to try to match the Indianapolis coach. So I think it's a good move by going in that direction as opposed to going with Blasingame.
I'm surprised Blasingame's out. You know, I just think that even if, let's say that you don't want a bunch of formations with the fullback in there.
Right.
He is a special teams guy.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he's a good special teams player or not. I mean, I'm not really convinced that anybody on the Titans special teams is all that good. But I'm a little surprised by that. I figured that you would at least want Indy to think that you're going to try to power run the football today against them. Now, remember, they play that zone with Matt Eberflus, and maybe the fullback's not as necessary there. Maybe this is an increased role for Pruitt, kind of playing that H-back role because he has done a lot of that in the past with the Titans.
Yeah, but the thing about it is you got to know that this front is pretty doggone good. So when you have a front that's aggressive and that's very, very physical, you want to go in a 2 tight end set. That's a 12 personnel. So if you do that, you can really make sure you protect those tackles. That I really believe that's why they're doing that. You're not going to see a 2-back set is because you eliminate taking a tight end out. So if they do that, I think they're definitely going to be successful. I understand what you're saying because Blasingame has been playing well. I mean,
and Derrick Henry's stats
absolutely.
in his career since they signed Blasingame, they're night and day.
Yeah, but you got 2 tackles that Lewan, can Lewan finish the game?
Sure. So
that's kind of the direction that they're going because of that.
And that's another thought I had was, do you think with the way Sam Brilo played last week, that we see Sam Brilo maybe go in as the 6th offensive lineman as an eligible tackle to help run the football?
Absolutely. I mean, in my opinion, I understand that we were talking about Seattle last week. Seattle's front was okay. I mean, they're kind of like a finesse defense. They're really not that physical. But now you're going against a defense that is physical. I mean, you got Buckner, you got Leonard, you got all those guys that want to run through your lips. So they got to make sure they protect Tannehill and also have a chance to run the ball with Henry.
Inactive for the Colts today. Guard tackle Will Fires is out.
Who that is?
I don't know. Corner Bo Pete Keys is out today. Defensive end Isaac Rockwell out today. Wide receiver Mike Straken out today. Defensive tackle Taylor Stallworth out today. Running back Marlon Mack out today. And I think he's working his way back from an Achilles tear at the beginning of last year. They still have Hines and Taylor. But people forget Marlon Mack was a bad boy.
He was a dog,
for a couple of years there with Indianapolis.
Absolutely.
And right tackle Braden Smith is out and was already going to be out before, but it'll be Julian Davenport, the backup tackle, who I believe the Titans ate for lunch last year in the game in Indianapolis. Julian Davenport will be at right tackle in for Braden Smith. Interesting thing of note with Indianapolis, 3 active quarterbacks today.
Absolutely.
Brett Hundley called up off the practice squad. Jacob Eason, their backup last week, and Carson Wentz. All 3 are active today. I'm not surprised by that with Indianapolis. Wentz is on the field warming up right now. I do wonder how much, when they say game time decision, I do wonder how much of a game time decision Carson Wentz actually is as far as how effective he's going to be. And if the Colts want to have 3 quarterbacks ready to go for insurance reasons of, okay, if Wentz plays and we're not doing well, let's get Wentz out of the game and not even have to think about bringing him back. If Wentz gets hurt, let's have some protection there. If Wentz can't go, he gets out there first drive and is like, guys, I can't play. You still have 2 quarterbacks there if that's the case.
I think the game time decision is watching him warm up. I mean, I know we're going to talk to TD in a minute, kind of get a situation on how he looks. So the trainer's looking at him, the offensive coordinator's looking at him, and the head coach is looking at him. Can he take his 3-step drop? Can he take his 5-step drop? Can he do these things? Can he move around? Can he focus on not the pain, but focus on the task at hand? So it's going to be interesting. So let me ask you this question: would you rather have Wentz on the injured reserve, not injured reserve, would you have him on the inactive list, or would you want him playing for the Tennessee Titans?
Oh, I'd want him out.
You want him out?
I mean, Brett Hundley's 3-6 as a starter, and that was 4 years ago. Right. Teams around the league don't want him on their roster. He's on the practice squad.
Yeah.
And that's their option at quarterback. I mean, I'd much rather have that than Carson Wentz, who, even though I'm not a huge Carson Wentz believer, I'm not a huge fan of Carson Wentz. I don't think he's a very good quarterback. Certainly better than the 2 guys Indianapolis has behind him. One thing of note, though, Taylor Lewan, active, will play today. Bud Dupree, who was on the injury report with a knee, active, will play today. Jayon Brown, who had the hamstring injury, active, will play today. So some of those injuries that we had some concerns, Roger Saffold left the game last Sunday, active, will play. So outside of Anthony Ferkser, the Titans not dealing with a lot of injuries today as far as the active and inactive list is concerned.
Yeah, and I think it's huge for the offensive line when you have Lewan there. I know Lewan struggled in the Arizona game and then got hurt in the warm-up last week, but it just gives you that confidence level at left tackle to where, that your quarterback's not going to get hit and also open those lanes for Derrick Henry. So I think it's a plus by having those guys in. Saffold's in. I'm glad Dupree's in on defense because you have your star power in there to go out there and make this Tennessee Titans get a victory.
Reaction to Josh Reynolds being a healthy scratch today?
I didn't like him from the beginning of the season. I mean, I just think that he's no difference from Fitzpatrick. I just really believe that. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I'm just looking at the talent level. You got 2 big guys that are decent, okay route runners. You just don't miss nothing with Josh Reynolds out there.
I think it just shows you what they think of Chester Rogers.
Absolutely.
They spent some money on Reynolds. He's still on the roster, so obviously he still has some value. I love the fact that Saffold's in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It gives the Titans, again, that familiarity between a tackle and a guard, on the same side is important. And these are theoretically the two best offensive linemen the Titans have. So that's Derrick Henry's got to be a happy guy seeing those two guys, starting today.
Now it's time for Mike Rabel's key to the game, and it is preparing for multiple quarterbacks with the Indianapolis Colts, what that would be like throughout the course of the week. Here's the coach of the Titans.
I don't think that there's a huge difference in the skill set. I mean, I think they're going to operate their offense. Carson's play strength, obviously Jacobs' limited exposure, but they have a talented, their receivers are tough, they're physical. Doyle's been there forever, very productive. Their backs are fantastic. I think they have an unbelievable group of backs. Got a lot of respect for Taylor, for Hines, and then obviously Mack working his way back in. Not sure how much he'll have, but they're just they have a lot of dynamic players. Receivers are tough, they're physical, and the backs can do a lot of different things.
So Mack is out today for Indianapolis, but 3 active quarterbacks on the roster for the Colts. And Chris Mortensen just tweeted this out. Carson Wentz will start, but how will he play against the Titans? And this is a tease for what they're talking about on ESPN right now. We'll show you why he isn't fixed yet on the play that knocked him out of the game last week. So Mort saying that Wentz is not fixed. And remember, Mort was the one who reported that Indy was not interested in looking at another quarterback when Wentz broke his foot. So my guess is Mort has some pretty good sources in Indianapolis.
Yeah, and the fact that familiarity, is a big thing too. And if you're the Colts, you don't want to go out and spend draft capital on a backup quarterback. I just think I think we've all learned through the years. Chris obviously has as a player and a coach. They're not going to reinvent the wheel today, the Colts.
Absolutely.
I just think they're going to rely more on Taylor and Hines and Jack Doyle and try to move the chains that way. I just think they're really going to try to run the football.
I mean, if you
go ahead.
If you want to just look at last week, look what the Tennessee Titans did to the Seattle Seahawks, the time of possession, 42-22. I mean, it kept that offense off the field. So you don't think the Indianapolis Colts are going to take that same approach to have the time of possession, convert third downs, kind of like what you're talking about?
And that was sort of out of necessity.
Yeah.
That's why I was so impressed with what Todd Downing did last week.
Absolutely.
He had limited resources on that offensive line, and he got the best out of those guys.
Sure did.
He figured out the best way. First of all, the Titans aren't a great comeback team. They came back. And it just amazed me at the end of the day what they did. But I think once again they sort of rediscovered themselves, and I think today is definitely going to be an extension of last week.
How did Carson Wentz look on the field warming up? How did Bud Dupree look on the field warming up? TD is at Nissan Stadium. He'll join us next. It's the pregame show live from Rock Bottom on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
This is NFL pregame.
Jared Stillman.
I cannot believe they picked this guy I've never heard of.
And company.
You're forced to play cap gymnastics, which makes it a little bit more difficult for picking up other guys.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Big one this week, folks. Monday night matchup. Oh, NFC East battle. Philly and Dallas. And FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger. Hey, everybody, Joe Rexroad here to let you know that FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. You can end the NFL week right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. Both of these teams have explosive offenses, kind of like the Cowboys. Of course, it's a rivalry game. Do whatever you want to do. Just do it on the #1 rated sportsbook app in America. It's easy to use. It's safe and secure. The payouts are fast. It is sports betting made simple. See for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Sign up with promo code Joe102 this week before Dallas takes on
Philadelphia. You win $150 on a $5 bet exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster's, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes, on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
Yo, it's Teron Davenport here to tell you about my friends at Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and they do it all. New tires, balance, rotation, everything. Bill, a recent customer of theirs, loved the way they came to him and saved him time and money. So if you're like Bill, you like convenience, and you need some new tires, check out freedomtireguys.com. If you don't see the tires you like, give them a call, and they'll find them for you. Check them out today at freedomtireguys.com.
Here they come, turn 4.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe. Every Saturday morning at 9, we hit the big topics. The Ally 400, Kyle Busch, frustrated, Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, and talk to the big names.
I'll go ahead and blame you.
Oh, I think it's big.
Could go a lot of different directions right now.
I was so impressed.
How cool that's going to be. It's Chasing Checkers, Saturday morning at 9 on ESPN 102.5 The Game and wherever you get your podcast.
It's game day for the Two-Tone Blue. And we're inching closer to kickoff. This is the NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, forever receiver Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Now, let's get an update from the stadium with ESPN's Teron Davenport, brought to you by Freedom Tire Guys on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Let's get right to TD because we've got to know how they looked on the field warming up. TD's appearance on the pregame show brought to you by Freedom Tire Guys, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, online at freedomtireguys.com. The man of the hour, Teron Davenport. Yeah. TD, let's jump right into it. How did Carson Wentz, and you would know because you are the one guy we can say literally wrote the book on Carson Wentz. How did Carson Wentz look warming up today? And we know Indy's got 3 active quarterbacks. What do we make of that?
Yeah, they got 3 active quarterbacks, and I'll tell you what, seeing how Carson Wentz tried to move around, it didn't look good, you know, and he had that right ankle. It was heavily wrapped, and he was doing different things like going up and down the field, did kind of like that Dak Prescott hip drill, and then just trying to move and cut. And it was not looking good, man. Like, I could probably bring him down in the open field, you know what I'm saying, with how limited he was agility-wise.
Do you think if this were any other game, based upon what you saw with him warming up, if this were any other game, do you think that he would not play today? But given the fact they're 0-2, given the fact that it's the Titans in a division game, that's why he's out there?
Yeah, I think really it is. I mean, you talk about not being able to afford going down 0-3, right, and falling to the team that's basically the favorite to win the division. It's a I'm not going to say must-win game, but just the fact that they got him out there with a high ankle sprain in week 3, that tells you all you need to know about the importance of the game. And, you know, this is the one where, you know, the Titans, I figure it's going to be a close game, but they need to really, like, you know, step on the Colts' neck right from the jump. And this could be a really good statement game for them and just kind of send the Colts spiraling. And it just tells you, you know, the fact that Wentz is out there trying to go on a high ankle sprain, like that lets you know. And by the way, his other ankle's messed up too.
We're speaking to Teron Davenport, of course, the Titans beat writer for ESPN and ESPN.com. And TD, what about the Titans attacking the Colts corners, primarily Rock Ya-Sin and Kenny Moore?
Yeah, well, the thing that I like is the size difference that they have. They're able to, go that back shoulder and those type of things. But I don't know if they're going to attack it because, they were supposed to do that against Arizona, so it just remains to be seen. I think the Colts are going to sell out to stop Derrick Henry, and that's going to leave a lot of opportunities to work play action and one-on-one coverage on the outside. And me personally, even though I like Rocky Sin, one-on-one, I take A.J. Brown and Julio Jones against them. So they better attack it, but, we saw in Arizona how things could appear to be likely to go one way and go the opposite.
TD, one thing, we were talking about with Wentz, sort of addled, is that you're going to see a lot of Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines, and Hines catching the ball. I would imagine we're going to see even more of them today because of Wentz's situation.
Yeah, it's really going to be all about getting the ball out of his hand. Whoever quarterback, it's going to be about getting the ball out of their hands and into the hands of their guys that can make plays, too, right there. One way you can kind of balance out spotty quarterback plays with a solid running game. And that's the thing about the Colts. They run the football well. They're very physical. Their defense is physical. So that always gives them the ability to keep the game close and be in the game. So I would definitely expect that. You remember when Nyheim Hines did to this team the last time he was there in Nissan Stadium. It wasn't good.
TD, what's up, my man? You doing all right?
Oh, yeah. What's up, man? I started you as soon as the inactives came out, man.
Oh, Reynolds, right?
Yes.
Hey, we always talk about you got to win at the line of scrimmage. The Indianapolis Colts, front is really good. You got Buckner, you got Payton, you got Muhammad. How can this Tennessee Titans O-line hold up? You got Lewan that's kind of hobbling a little bit. You got Saffold that came out the game, last week. Do you think this Tennessee Titans offense can dominate at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I don't know about dominate, but I think they could just, hold their own. And for me, I don't really think they need to dominate. I think really all it is just about, not allowing that line of scrimmage to be reset. You saw what happened in the Cardinals game. You saw what happened in the first half of the Seattle game. But once they were able to keep from getting dominated, then things were starting to work. And I think this, with that blocking scheme, you don't have to move people. You just block spaces. And I think that's what allows them to be able to get by without just, pile driving guys into the ground. So to me, it's really all about just maintaining their positioning. And if they could do that, then they'll be fine. But you also have to account for, guys like Darius Leonard, guys like Bobby Okereke, these guys that are going to, because the formula is kind of out, right? You try to set the gap and, and attack those gaps. So you have to be able to account for that.
And the Tennessee Titans, they take pride on being physical. And just looking at who was on the inactive list was Blasingame. Does it have to do with more formation-wise? Because, when Blasingame's in the game, it's 21 personnel. Do you think the Tennessee Titans want to go more 12 personnel to protect those tackles?
Yeah, I wonder. When I saw Blasingame was inactive, I was confused because you had the rookie Carter from what is it, from Bama, I think he is. The rookie fullback. I forget exactly which school. One of the SEC schools, but LSU, that is. And he's active. So, and he was elevated from the practice squad. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. I can't say that it's formation for sure because they have the other fullback active. But I would imagine it would be better to kind of spread this defense out a little bit, and get them in space, and make them have to move laterally, you know what I mean, and not be able to just come downhill and make plays. Because that's what Okereke, that's what Darius Leonard, that's what these guys specialize in.
TD, what did you make of Bud Dupree in warm-ups today? Because we know he's been limited with that knee injury, and I saw on Twitter that you had him working out, saw him working out. Obviously, he's active and going to give it a go, but what did you think of what you saw?
I think he's still limited, and I saw a guy that just – I don't think that he's able to go, full speed. I don't think that he's 100%, and I think it's still, a work in progress. And one of the things I asked Mike Rabel about Dupree was just how he's dealing with it. And he said it's really all about the recovery after games and after practice. He didn't practice a couple times this week, so maybe that gave him extra recovery time. But what I saw out there, it wasn't the same. And it just seems like he still has kind of a limp to him, and it's just that's one thing that's going to have to continue to be worked out. I don't really expect to see the full Bud Dupree for a little bit, and I didn't expect to see that, coming into this training camp. I didn't expect to see that at this point either. So, in my opinion, it's right along schedule.
And then the other thing, Jayon Brown active today with the hamstring injury. You and I were talking off air and on air this week about how well David Long Jr. played last week in the Seattle game. But how does Jayon Brown look testing that hamstring in warm-ups?
Yeah, now he looked okay. Jayon Brown looked like he was fine. I didn't really see any, issue with him as far as being able to run. He went through some drills with Jim Haslett, the LB coach, and was able to change direction and move and start and stop. And that's really the thing with the hamstring, is being able to start and stop. And he was able to do that, and, hey, he jogged into the locker room, and here we are. He's active.
TD, as always, we appreciate it. We'll look forward to your breakdowns on ESPN and, of course, tomorrow on Darren, Donick, and Chase, and all throughout the week. The Talking with TD podcast as well. Appreciate you, TD.
Appreciate you, T.
I appreciate you guys. Take it easy.
Yep, TD's appearances on the pregame show brought to you by Freedom Tire Guys, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, online at freedomtireguys.com. What did we think, Chris, about what he said about Bud Dupree and how he still thinks Bud Dupree looks limited out there, even in warm-ups today?
Yeah, remember we talked about that earlier in the year, that's the thing that we were concerned about, that can he finish a full game? Can he finish a full season? And that's what we were worried about. And I watched him in the Arizona game. It's like he can run straight at the field, but he can't start and stop. And when you're a ferocious pass rusher and your lower body helps you get to where you need to get, you stop and start with so much power, you're kind of limited when that's taken away from you. So I think he's been more cautious. I know he's limping around because if you look at this last year, he came off the knee injury. A knee's different than an ankle. A knee is the mobility of your whole, basically your leg. So I just think that if he just gets more confidence, get healing during the week, he just got to go out there and give the best he can.
I wonder why short-term IR, wouldn't have been the best thing for Dupree to start the season, and then bring him back where he's closer to 100%. I have some, misgivings about him playing, not at 100. Nobody's ever 100%, but it just seems like, this may really compromise his abilities to get to the quarterback.
What about your thoughts on what TD said about Wentz and the mobility that he noticed in warm-ups?
Yeah, I think he's going to be limited today. I don't think they're fooling anybody. I don't think the Titans expect him to pull it down and run on the first snap of the game. So I think they'll plan accordingly.
Yeah,
he'll be a pocket passer today.
Yeah, and I think they're going to keep him in shotgun. I mean, so you'd have to do a 3 or 5 step drop. They're just going to have him catch the ball, make his read, and throw the pass. So, I think he'll be okay. But if the Tennessee Titans put pressure on him, make him get off a spot and move, then that's a win for the Titans.
Coming up next, we'll have our picks to click. Who's going to click today for the Titans if they're going to beat the Indianapolis Colts? We have that and more. Plus, we'll take a look at the sports books for today, and we'll make our final game day predictions. We're live from Rock Bottom Brewery downtown. Mark Howard, Chris Sanders. It's the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Coming up next hour on NFL Pregame, Jared, Chris, and Mark make their picks to click and final predictions for the upcoming game. We're inching closer to kickoff, and you're listening to NFL Pregame on Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey. Nice tailgate setup. Thanks. Dos Equis? Sure. Really hits the spot. Oh, yeah, that's good. Well, I hope your team never wins as long as I'm alive. Same to you.
A dose of respect. Brought to you by Dos Equis, proud sponsor of college football. Get a dose. Enjoy Dos Equis responsibly. Copyright 2021. Imported by Cervezas Mexicanas, White Plains, New York.
Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee ensures children and teens, especially those who need us most, are ready to read, ready for class, ready to graduate, ready for their career, and ready to serve the community. You can support local youth and their great futures by donating at bgcmt.org.
It's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron. BetOnline.net is your #1 spot for all the pro and college football odds and news this season. Get all the updated info on players, teams, and odds to help you with your new football contests, leagues, and new survivor pools. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports. Pro sports, MMA, championship boxing, golf, horse racing, they have it all. Bring the game home with BetOnline.net, where the game starts.
The C10 Nationals are here. Friday, October 1st and Saturday, October 2nd at Nashville Superspeedway. The C10 Nationals, one of the largest GM truck shows in the world. Don't miss the autocross, the burnout contest, the dyno, along with vendor midway, swap meet, cruise the track, and more. Cap it all off with a huge award ceremony. Spectator tickets are just $20 per day. Trucks can register at the gate day of the event. Visit C10Nationals.com. That's C10Nationals.com for more information.
312 Pizza Company is family owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style. And always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open 7 days a week and located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 to order 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
It seems that 2021 has been another year of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. It's time to cool things down with football season and Red Spirits and Wine, the only place I go for my adult beverages bar none. Ain't no others that amount to a hill of beans. Red simply can't be topped for price, selection, and that Cracker Jack service. When gearing up for the big game, Red Spirits and Wine wets my whistle every time. Red Spirits and Wine, Highway 70 South at Old Hickory Boulevard.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. This is NFL Pregame, and it's time for Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard to make their picks to click. Brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment on Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Time now for picks to click, as the Titans need some big picks to click in order to beat the Indianapolis Colts. Chris Sanders has been very creative through 2 weeks in picks to click, picking Derrick Henry 1 week and Ryan Tannehill the next week. I mean, that is.
I'm like you last year.
That is, that is outstanding. It is time, though, to pick and to click. Chris Sanders, who's got a click today offensively for the Titans to win against Indianapolis?
I'm going to go with A.J. Brown. And the reason why I'm going with A.J. Brown is because last week he dropped 4 balls. And I think the Indianapolis Colts secondary is going to focus on Julio Jones, and I think it's going to be man-to-man with A.J. Brown. I think he's going to have an outstanding day. I think I'll say 5 catches, 130 yards to beat those defensive backs against the Indianapolis Colts.
5 catches for 130.
Yep, because they're going to get press coverage, and he's going to eat them alive.
That is a big day. Have you noticed, by the way, Chris Sanders is 100% behind A.J. Brown after the drops last week against Seattle?
Absolutely. I'm ready to go, baby.
Defensively, Chris Sanders, who's got a click today for the Titans?
I am going to go with Kevin Byard. And the reason why I'm going with Kevin Byard is because I think he's going to watch the eyes of whoever's quarterback, if it's Wentz or Eason, and make a big pick that turns around the game. So I think he's due for another interception. He had one the first game. I think he's due for a big game this game.
Mark Howard, we turn to you. Time to pick and click offensively. Who's got a click for the Titans?
Well, I'm going to go with Ryan Tannehill, who always seems to find the happy medium, whether he's handing off or throwing the ball. I think he's going to have a big day.
And who's got a click defensively?
I'm going to say Harold Landry. I think he's going to find his way to the quarterback. I kind of wanted maybe Danico Autry because he's going up against his former teammates. Might want to wreak havoc. But I think Autry's good work will result in Landry sacks today.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go offensively. I'm going to do a Floyd here. I'm going to go with the interior offensive line. I think Jones, Saffold, and Davis are going to have their hands full with DeForest Buckner today. And I think there's two things here that are at play. The first thing is DeForest Buckner. We all know he's a monster, and if he gets in the backfield, Derrick Henry can't get away from him. Secondly, I think the Colts are banking on Darius Leonard, the highest-paid middle linebacker in the NFL, to keep Derrick Henry from breaking a big one. And I do wonder if the Titans, the combination of those three can keep those two from getting into the backfield and stopping Derrick Henry. And if that is the case, Derrick Henry could have another massive banner day rushing the football if they can control the two stars on Indianapolis' defense, because as we all know, that third level of the Colts defense is not very good. And so Buckner's going to have to make plays and really on both sides, passing and rushing. But I think the interior offensive line is going to have their hands full with those two guys today.
I just think if you look at the Indianapolis Colts, their whole identity of this game is to stop Henry. I mean, that's what they're going to do, but they couldn't do it the last 3 or 4 games. Henry's got 100 yards, so they're going to be banked on stopping him and go man-to-man with those cornerbacks on the outside. So that's why I say Julio Jones and even Chester Rogers or even Brown, they're going to have big days because they're going to get that man-to-man coverage because Indy's going to try to stop the run and limit Henry of making those plays.
Defensively, Rashaan Evans.
Let's go.
And here's why I'm going with Rashaan Evans to click. Because I think Indianapolis is going to try to hand the football to Jonathan Taylor about 900 times today if they can. We heard what TD said about Carson Wentz and how immobile Carson Wentz looks right now. They are going to run the football with Jonathan Taylor. I have faith in Autry and Simmons taking care of the offensive line. I think that means that Rashaan Evans is going to be the guy tasked with making sure that Jonathan Taylor does not get out of control. Evans, if he can get into the backfield, make a tackle or two, he is, you would assume, the most sure tackler of the linebacking core and run support. So I'm going with Rashaan Evans today. A disappointing player, honestly, when you think about his career with the Titans. But today, I think he's got a big role because I know how important Jonathan Taylor is going to be to the Colts.
And not David Long, who might be taking some of Rashaan Evans' snaps.
Or Monty Rice out of the third round.
Monty Rice.
You draft a guy in the third round
Georgia
and you want to put him out there to play. I thought David Long Jr. was impressive last week.
Yep.
And I wonder if Indianapolis is going to be so hell-bent on running the football, if you would put Long Jr. out there over Jayon Brown at times. Brown undersized. Long Jr. kind of undersized too, but a better run player than Brown, who's better in pass defense.
If you look at Rashaan Evans, he's a guy that shows flash. I mean, you just see flashes of plays. I just think if he can be consistent, I think he just makes that Tennessee Titans defense
just
better.
Not a very instinctive player.
And that's it. That's why you just see flashes. I mean, I think it was last year when they were going against the Jacksonville Jaguars, he made the stop on 4th down, flashes. But have we heard anything else? No. So it's about him being consistent throughout a week and making plays consistently in every game.
Do you think it's easier on him, Chris?
Yeah.
If they say to Rashaan Evans, hey, you got the running back today. Then when Jonathan Taylor's in the game and you don't worry about the quarterback, you've got the running back. If he gets the football, go get him.
I mean, it all depends on what they're going to do. What if they split him out and you have Taylor runs routes?
I'm not worried about Jonathan Taylor.
No. I'm just saying, what would they do? What if they throw like a little screen pass and he has a tackle in space? So it's the things that what the Indianapolis Colts offensive coordinator is going to do. So just kind of look at it in that situation.
Those are our picks to click here on the pregame show, presented by every single week by Parman Tractor and Equipment. I do wonder the AFC South. We asked Teron Davenport this question when he said that he didn't think Carson Wentz looked very good out there today. And I said to TD, do you think if this were any other game and the Colts weren't 0-2, staring at 0-3, with the Dolphins, with the Ravens coming up after this, the Titans have the Jets and the Jags, and we all know how Floyd would get if we were talking about those games right now. We understand it. But how much of a body blow is this to the Colts today, and how much of an advantage do the Titans get? I know it's early in the year and it's a 17-game season, but how big is that factor today, given where the Colts are in the standings?
I don't think Wentz needed any prodding. I think he understood the magnitude of this game. Listen, I think the Colts sort of understand they are where they are in terms of their quarterback situation. So, listen, we have seen the Titans occasionally during the Mariota years go in and sort of piece it together and figure out a way to win. Remember the win at Jacksonville when Mariota was hurt. So I wouldn't, assume anything, just like we assumed last week that the Titans were going to get waxed in Seattle. So I think this game is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think.
And I think the reason why Wentz really wants to play, number one, he's a competitor. Number two, he's a professional. And then there's a couple of things I want to talk about also. It's a divisional game. They're 0-2. They're playing bad. So they need to figure out a way to get this game to get back to get in the winning form again. They definitely need this game. They're in dire straits. Just like what you gave. You gave the stats about a team being 0-3 and make it to the playoffs. They understand the magnitude of being 1-2 as opposed to 0-3.
Chris, in 2001, you were with the Titans. You guys had 13-3, Super Bowl, AFC division, AFC Central champions. Number 1 seed. The next year you start off 0-3. That third game came at Baltimore. Divisional rival, defending Super Bowl champion. This game feels kind of like that game where 0-3 feels like it is. It's not a death knell to the Colts, but it feels like it is a serious shot to the gut. If they go 0-3, the Titans are sitting at 2-1 with the tiebreaker.
I mean, that's tough because if you go and win this game on the road, your quarterback's hurt and all these things are against you, and then you go next week, it gives you a little bit of confidence. Because right now, you're looking at the Indianapolis Colts team that's playing with zero confidence. So if they come in here and beat the Tennessee Titans and win with the hurt Wentz and, a secondary that's kind of, really shaky, that just builds a little confidence for the next game to say, you know what, even though we had the odds against us, even though we had adversity towards us, we still went out there and found a way to win. So it builds a little bit of confidence.
Mark, how do you feel about how the division looks if the Titans are able to pull off a win today?
Well, I think it puts them in the power position because everybody else will have either no wins or 1 win. And I don't think any of us are very scared of Jacksonville and Houston.
Any of us?
Yeah, sorry, Chris. But I think if the Titans understand, if they win today and they stay healthy, they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and it's about winning the division. And this can be the step right here of knowing, okay, even though it's early in the season, we still have a step up on the Indianapolis Colts, or vice versa. The Titans have a step on the Indianapolis Colts. So it's that stepping stone that you want to start with the season.
And here's the other thing about the division that at least I think is at least important, and that is that in the division, I don't think that being 2-1 and Indy being 0-3, I don't think that puts the nail in the coffin. But I think Indianapolis, and we don't think Wentz is, I don't think Wentz is all that good, even when he is healthy. But I think Indianapolis starting off, say, 1-4, and the Titans starting off 4-1. And when you look at the Jets and the Jags coming up for the Titans, and at the Dolphins, at the Ravens coming up for the Colts, that if they win today, that's not crazy to think that those could be the records. I don't know if the Titans at 4-1, Indy at 1-4 with a bunch of AFC losses, I don't know if Indianapolis has the firepower to get back into the race.
I mean, it just creates doubt. I mean, when you have a team that doubts, it's kind of tough for you to play and concentrate on the next game because even though you give everything you have and you consistently losing as opposed to consistently winning, I mean, that's just a tough deal for your head coach, your general manager, or even your team because you're trying to do the right things. You're trying to play good at quarterback. You're trying to play good on defense. You're trying to play good on offense, but you keep getting a loss. It creates a lot of doubt.
Yeah, I mean, if the Titans are sitting there at 4-1 after 5 games and the Colts are 1-4, it would be hard for them to screw this up. But there are just so many variables out there for the last 12 games of the season, and one of them is injury.
Sure.
So you never take anything for granted.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Teron Davenport, TD just texted me and he said this, and I'm quoting him. He said, the energy here is flat. It's dead, not good. So it goes back to energy, man. You got to come out with fire.
Well, can I tell you who I look at if there's anything that he's changed about his game? It's this, and that's Derrick Henry.
Absolutely.
I think that Derrick realized after week 1, we all saw the video of him ripping the teammate, yelling at the teammates or whatever. I think Derrick always thought, well, if I just put the work in and show up every day, then I can lead by example and everybody will want to do that. I think he's now learned that he's got to be the alpha, and that to your point about bringing energy, I think that's on him and Tannehill to get this group going. That's on them to get the group going early on, to get things in their favor. But we talked about it here as we're at rock bottom, and there's a bunch of Colts fans out here, and you do have to worry a little bit if perhaps, Titan fans may be, I don't want to say taking this one easy, but I worry about it from that regard. And the energy, I think, is a good point that Chris brings up. Coming up on the other side, we'll take a look at the sports books. What are they saying about this game? And is the number going to worry us some? Plus, we'll make our final predictions. That's all coming up next, live from Rock Bottom Brewery, downtown Nashville. Titans and Colts. It's the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
And the save made by Saros, and the Predators win it.
Nashville Predators Predators training camp is underway.
The Nashville Predators back in action.
We're closing in on the new season.
They kind of surprised everybody last year, so the natural reaction is they're just going to get better this year.
And your only home for coverage of the Preds is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The NFL is back, everybody. It's beautiful, and FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play. Joe Rexford here to let you know FanDuel is giving away a $10 risk-free bet every week. Bet a same-game parlay with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. So this week in Titans-Colts showdown, and I'd look at Titans' money line. I'd also look at Indy's D, and so many different ways to build a same-game parlay. So many other things you can do on the FanDuel Sportsbook because it's easy to use. It's safe and secure. The payouts are fast. It's America's #1 sports book. Lock in your bet on FanDuel. Get up to $10 back if your bet doesn't win. And if you're new, claim 30-1 odds on either team to win a Monday night game between Philly and Dallas. Sign up with promo code Joe102. If your first bet loses, get up to $1,000 back in site credit. That's promo code Joe102. You must be 21 or older in present Tennessee. Refund issued as a now-withdrawable site credit. Expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile and web. If you have a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Cheers to you, girl. I know you're excited about the new job.
Oh, thanks so much.
Hey, is that my engagement ring you're wearing?
Don't be silly. Oh, wow. They are identical. How did that happen?
Don't tell me. He went to jail.
Yeah, yours too, I guess.
Wow.
Don't make her settle for one of those cookie cutter rings from the big corporate chain jewelry stores. At Genesis Diamonds, you can get her a stunning one-of-a-kind designer ring, one that's as unique as she is. Genesis has over 4,000 handcrafted rings from world-class designers like Tacori, Viraggio, Henry Dawsey, and others. These are designers that you'll never see in one of those mega corporate stores, but we have them starting at under $1,000. So ladies, don't settle for the ordinary, for a ring that will be yours and yours alone. Make sure he goes to
Genesis Diamonds.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Cast iron. Lift that cast iron. You're doing good.
Hey, hun. Sweetie.
Yeah, hon.
I need to make dinner. I need that pan.
You can't always do home workouts how you'd want, but now you can sip what you want. Heineken 0.0. It tastes great, only has 69 calories, and absolutely zero alcohol.
Well, here, lift these. 2 Heineken 0.0s.
Oh, right. Dumbbells I can drink. Sip. 0.
Must be 21 plus to purchase. Enjoy responsibly.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and Craneworks and Rental Works, your source for crane and equipment rental. Visit Craneworks.com. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Greg McElroy, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
And Colts getting set to do battle at Nissan Stadium. A big one out there. Chris Sanders said, Teron Davenport said, energy at Nissan Stadium, flat. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. I told you trap game. It worries me a little bit.
There you go.
Worries me a little bit. Trap game.
That's
just
like me saying the coin toss.
No. That's just, ridiculous. This
next week is a trap game.
The Jets, that is a trap game. Time now to take a look at the sports books, of course, presented by FanDuel Sportsbooks. The latest odds on today's game is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook app and my official sportsbook app. The Titans are favored by 4.5 points. The over-under on today's game, 47.5. So a low number, given the fact that Carson Wentz is hurt. Maybe not a surprise. These are kind of the numbers that are interesting to me. As far as rushing yards are concerned, Derrick Henry over under 102.5 today. How do we feel about that one?
I'd go over.
I do too.
Really?
Yep.
Even though Indianapolis' whole game plan is going to be to stop Derrick Henry.
But he seems to have success against them.
I say over. Absolutely, 100%. I think he's going to go about 120, 130 yards.
Jonathan Taylor, over under 67.5 yards today.
I'm going to say he's going to go over because I think the running game is going to be emphasized big time.
A.J. Brown, 67.5 over under.
Over. Over. I say about 120 yards, 130.
Chris has everybody getting a $120 today.
just
AJ over
handing out
65 and a half.
I'll say over.
Julio 61 and a half.
Under.
I say over.
The leading receiver, according to the FanDuel Sportsbook app, for the Indianapolis Colts, Zach Pascal at 38 and a half yards.
Oh, my goodness.
What about Naeem Hines?
23 and a half.
Wow.
What about the receiver from Ohio State?
Not listed. Not listed for Paris Campbell. Had one catch last week. As far as that's concerned, passing yards total. See, this is the one that's interesting to me. Player passing yards, Tannehill 250 and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the over on that one.
I'm with you 100%.
Carson Wentz 204 and a half.
I'd go under.
I go under.
I mean, if that's the case, then the Titans ought to, win this game fairly easy. If everything is, almost over for the Titans, under for the Colts. The thing that scares me, that 4.5 number. That it was 5.5 on Friday. Wentz practiced, it dropped to 4.5, which shows you that the Sharps then brought in a bunch of money once they found out Wentz may have a chance of playing. Wentz is active today. It drops the line by a point. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this game is traditionally close. It doesn't surprise me at all that the line dropped to 4.5.
Over under home team total points. So this is the Titans total points, 26.5. Do we think we're looking at a rock fight today where 26 would be a lot? Or the Titans, who averaged about 30 last year, you would think 26.5 they could hit pretty easily?
I'm going to say low-scoring game.
I say over. I think they'll score about 35.
Well, with that, it's time now to get our final picks in there because Chris Sanders. I mean, I can make an educated guess as to how Chris Sanders feels about today's game, just based upon how he's picking the overs and the unders. And again, the latest odds on today's game are brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook app, which is America's #1 sportsbook app and my official sportsbook app as well. Our final game picks are brought to you today and every week by Social Furniture, located at 5412 Charlotte Avenue in Nashville. That's in West Nashville. Shop local, shop social. Right now, currently the leaderboard at 1-1 is yours truly, having picked Arizona in week one. You two are sharing what we call on this show, Mark, the Shannon Sharp Award for last place. And with that, Chris Sanders, who wins today, why, and what's the final
I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans 35-21. And the reason why I'm going with them is because of the quarterback situation. I think the Tennessee Titans are locked at quarterback. I think with the situation with Indianapolis Colts, I just think they're unsure. I don't know if Wentz is going to finish the game. East is going to come in. But the reason why the Tennessee Titans are going to win is because of Tannehill.
35-21. 21 points.
21 points.
You think Indy's going to score 21 points with no quarterback?
They got a good running game in Naeem Hines, so they're still going to make some plays now. But I think it's going to be 35-21.
35-21. Mark Howard, who wins today, final score?
Titans 23-20. It's going to be ugly. Titans are going to have some red zone failures like they did last week, resulting in Randy Bullock field goals. He's going to have a big day.
Oh, I should have looked at that on the FanDuel Sportsbook app to see what was available there. I'm kind of along the lines that Mark is. I'm going to go Titans 19, Indy 14. I think this is going to be ugly. I think this is going to be a rock fight. I think this is what Indy wants. I think Indy wants to turn around, hand it off 3 times, and punt if they have to, and then put the defense on the field. And I think Indianapolis is not going to let Derrick Henry break the big one today. I think they are going to try to contain Henry. And the only way the Titans get out, in my opinion, to kind of the big game that Chris is talking about is if Indianapolis is so bent on stopping Henry that they just start throwing the ball to those receivers and they beat the 1-0. I can see A.J. Brown, when we talked about the over-under for A.J. Brown's rushing total or receiving total, I can see it going over because I can see Indy selling out to stop Henry. A.J. catching a slant, throwing the DB off of him and running into the end zone for a touchdown. I think that this is going to be ugly. I am worried to what TD said about the energy, and he's on the field. Yeah. I worry that the Titans aren't going to have the energy today. I'm worried about turnovers. I'm worried about the offensive line against DeForest Buckner. I think this is an ugly rock fight. I think Tannehill pulls them through at the end, but I'm going to go 19-14 just because I think this one is going to be ugly.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, but the one thing that gives me confidence is the quarterback situation. I mean, Wentz, his mobility is terrible. I mean, he's not going to be able to run. He's got 2 hurt ankles. You can't do anything with 2 hurt ankles. But just like what you said, Jared, if we turn the ball over, if we fumble, if we throw an interception, then it gives that team confidence to go out there and win. And I just think that's what definitely could happen.
Our final game picks, once again, brought to you every week by Social Furniture, located at 5412 Charlotte Avenue in Nashville. Shop local, shop social, all three of us picking the Titans today to beat the Indianapolis Colts. That's going to do it for us. Mark Howard, Chris Sanders. We will be back at 9:30 next week as the Titans get set to take on the New York Jets. We'll be live from the Corner Pub in Brentwood. So that'll be at 9:30. And I already went to the Corner Pub in Brentwood because last week when we went to the Corner Pub in Cool Springs, I went to the Corner Pub in Brentwood first and then had to realize I had to go out to Cool Springs. So that's going to do it for us. We are out of here. Everybody enjoy the game today. We will, again, be back as well tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Stillman and Company. We will see you then from Rock Bottom Brewery downtown. It's been the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Take us wherever you may go.
There are 2 guys on my untouchable list.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
Every team's got those. That's my point.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot. Great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Put in, it headed in! Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Hey everybody, it's Chase McCabe. Sign up today at BetMGM and enjoy the thrill of victory on your very first bet. The King of Sportsbooks welcomes you to Showtime with the lock of the year. Simply place a $10 moneyline wager on any pro football team, and if any team scores a touchdown, you'll win $200 in free bets, regardless of your bet's outcome. Just use the bonus code 1025GAME200 when you make your first bet to take advantage of this offer. Enjoy football like never before with BetMGM's live betting options, boosted odds specials, and daily promotions at your fingertips all season long. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com. Use that code 1025GAME200 to win $200 in free bets if any pro football team scores a touchdown. Winning is always special, but nothing beats a W at BetMGM. New customer offer, paid and free bets. You must be 21 years or older. Must be in Tennessee. Visit BetMGM.com for a full list of terms and conditions. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Has she seen an engagement ring she really loves? A unique look from a top-notch designer? You won't find it at just any store, but you will at Genesis Diamonds.
At Genesis Diamonds, we work with the most sought-after designers in this country. We are proud to feature lines like Tacori, Baraggio, Kirk Cara, Henry Dawsey, A. Jaffe, Jeff Cooper, Gabriel, and many more.
Since other jewelers can't get these designers, David says beware of knockoffs.
Often stores will result to copying or knocking off a designer ring just to compete with Genesis. And oftentimes, you will actually pay the same, if not more, for that fake.
Why risk it? Genesis has the real deal. Unique, handcrafted, cutting-edge designs and award-winning craftsmanship.
So not only will you get the exact product you wish with the brand you trust, but at a price that you can afford.
Get her the ring of her dreams at Genesis Diamonds.
Every girl wants a designer ring. They don't want Joe in the back room to make a copy. They want the real thing.
Continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Joe Rexrode.
I think they feel pretty good about things.
Robbie and Rexrode. Weekday mornings 6 to 10 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
And now back to ESPN Radio on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
In the off-season.
Listen and follow In the Crease wherever you get your podcast.
ESPN Podcasts, no matter what you're a fan of.
Welcome into the Fantasy Focus Football Podcast.
Hollywood mogul McConaughey. This is the kind of guest you're going to get on the SV Pod.
His reputation is destroyed. I don't feel sorry for Donald Sterling.
The final question comes from Lennon.
The legend that is Adam Schefter.
It's Julie Foudy. Simone Biles is in the house.
Listen to me now. Believe me later on. This has been ESPN Daily. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
ESPN Podcasts, something for everyone. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Monday on Bart and Hahn, Week 3 is coming to a conclusion. We'll review Monday Night Football and talk about all the games there was on Sunday. That's Bart and Hahn, 12 o'clock Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
Coming up Monday, the debut of Canty and Golick Jr. on ESPN Radio that's already been on for 2 weeks. I don't get it either, but Monday Night Football's on, and we'll get you ready. Coming up 3 Eastern, Canty and Golick Jr. on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
This is SportsCenter.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins. Things are underway at the Ryder Cup. Xander Schauffele, Rory McIlroy, the first match of the 12 at Whistling Straits on this final day. McIlroy birdieing the first hole. He is 1 up through 2 as the U.S. takes an 11-5 lead into the singles matches today. It needs to win 3 and tie one of the 12 to regain the Ryder Cup. This is the third Sunday of the NFL regular season. It begins at the top of the hour in Cleveland. The Browns hosting the Bears. Rookie Justin Fields will start a quarterback for Chicago, his first NFL start. And ESPN NFL reporter Kimberly Martin says Fields is prepared to deal with the pressure.
I talked to coaches, I talked to personnel guys on the Bears staff, and what they love about him is that the moment is not too big. They tell me this is a guy who's won everywhere he's been, and he plays free almost. He's not worried if he makes a mistake. It's that next play mentality where he says, okay, that's fine. And guys on this Bears team tell me Justin wants the smoke. Like, he wants that pressure because he's built for it.
Now we've got an NFL doubleheader for you on ESPN Radio coming up. In fact, our coverage is already underway. Patriots hosting New Orleans, and then it'll be the Seahawks at Minnesota with a 4:25 p.m. Eastern kick. And tonight, the final ESPN Sunday night baseball game of the regular season, a big one for the Red Sox hosting the Yankees as these teams are tied for the top AL wildcard spot. Toronto, a game behind those two, 6 p.m. Eastern for the coverage of Yanks and Red Sox here on ESPN Radio.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
It's that time again. Get you ready for gambling. Let you know the facts you need to know on Countdown to Kickoff on ESPN Radio. Myron Metcalf, Doug Kazarian. I'm Matt Jones. You know, you can tune into a football doubleheader today as the Saints battle the Steelers, followed by the Seahawks and the Vikings. Coverage begins at noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. A little update, some inactives. DeAndre Hopkins and Joey Bosa they're active. DeAndre Hopkins and Joey Bosa are active. Inactive, T. Higgins and Darrell Henderson. So you have all of those that you can keep those notes. Now, every week, Doug Kazarian gives us the 3 facts we need to know to make money on the NFL, and I like to name it. We've had a couple different attempts. Nobody's loved any of them. So now I have another one, Myron. I think this fits Doug's style, his flavor. You know, he's got a lot of flavor, Doug does. Yeah, and so I was thinking dapping it with Doug. That's right. He's going to give us daps about gambling. So it's like we're giving each other a dap, and in the process, he's going to whisper in our ear like, oh, Bucks minus 3.5. Like, that's the kind of things that are going to happen while, Myron, we dap it with Doug.
Yeah. Is digging it with Doug, right? That was the first one?
That was the first one.
And then last week
I don't remember the second one. It wasn't as memorable, but dapping it with Doug.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting it. Dapping it with Doug. So it's time to do some daps. So, Doug, give me my first dap.
Okay, so the NFL is going to get right into it after that. Basically, we know the NFL, to win handicapping, you have to just kind of forget what you last saw. No team is as good or as bad as they last performed. And this isn't college football where teams just run the table and go undefeated the entire season. So it's who can I sell high on and buy low on. It just so happens they're playing one another, and there's actually a betting trend that sort of supports that position. Arizona's giving 7.5 in Jacksonville, and historically, taking the Jags plus those points in the first month of the season, you're covering it over 61% of the time. What that means is the betting market overreacts to bad performances early when it's only a sample size of 2 or so, and then overreacting to what Arizona's looked like, again, in a small sample. The value is actually on the Jags plus 7.5, just kind of paying a tax on an Arizona team, and you're paying a tax to bet against Jacksonville.